guys, it's Becky with Design Bundles, and I am really excited for today's video because ever since we started working with Sublimation designs, I've been getting a lot of really great questions, but a lot of them are saying, hey, I'm a Cricut user, can I set up my sublimation designs in Cricut Design Space? And I've been telling everybody, yes, absolutely you can. But the problem with Cricut Design Space is that it does not accommodate printing wide format images. So say you have a wide format Epson or Sawgrass, or just the simple fact that you're really limited and you can't even use a full letter size paper, all right? That was a big limitation for people who wanted to print from Cricut Design Space. But I'm just so over the moon excited to tell you that we have a workaround for you. So all my Cricut people, come closer, come on in, get ready to take some notes, and we are going to teach you how to set up even wide format designs in Cricut Design Space and be able to print them a decent size.
So here we are in Cricut Design Space. Now, one thing that I do, and this is up to you, you can change your grid settings by clicking here in the corner. And I do prefer to have a nice clean white background, especially when I'm designing for sublimation. Not that the grid is a huge inconvenience to some people, it's probably just a matter of personal preference, but just letting you know this is where I'm starting from. Now, the first thing I want to do is come down here to my upload, and I want to upload the images that I'm going to work with today. Now, a lot of your sublimation images are going to be, there we go, PNG format, which works really well for us because it comes in with that transparent background. And I'm not saying that you can't use clip art that has a background, or even that you don't want to. You know, if that's how the clip art comes, then that's fine. But ideally, when you're looking for clip art, such as these gnomes, it makes it really super easy when they come with the transparent background, because then you don't need to change anything. Okay, so I'm going to choose continue. Now, this, of course, if you're familiar with Cricut Design Space already, you know that this is the area where you would delete the background if you needed to. I don't need to, so I'm going to choose continue. And then I do want to make sure that I'm saving this as a print, then cut. Otherwise, it'll come in just the shapes. So that's my main image. The next image that I want to bring in is going to be a background, and is on my OneDrive actually. So all of these images are part of the sublimation bundle that I scored from Design Bundles. So really love that. I feel like they have a lot of complementary items in there. This one in particular is a grunge wood background. Same thing, it's got that great transparent background. Really love that because I don't have to do any modifying. Now, another thing that you need to understand is a lot of these graphics are large. So sometimes it may take a minute or two for the Cricut Design Space to finish the processing, just because it has to pick up, like this one in particular, it's picking up all these little pieces that are in here, okay? So just be patient, let it do its thing, and then you will be rewarded. Okay, so I have both of these images now. I can click on them both and choose Insert. And again, it'll probably take a minute, but it will bring them into my Canvas workspace. Okay, there we go. So now we do want to work with the sizing and with the order, because obviously I don't want my background on top. That's just how it came in. So I'm going to click on my gnomes. Let's make them a reasonable size. And then we'll choose Arrange and Send to Front. Now this is where that transparent background comes in handy, because guess what? Hey, it has a transparent background and I don't have to worry about this looking weird. Okay, now let's talk about the type of designing that we're doing. Now I'm not saying that Cricut Design Space doesn't have some designing capabilities. Sure it does, right? Absolutely. But it's not the most robust software available. That's okay. That's not what we're trying to do today. And if you are an experienced Cricut user, that's who I'm talking to. I'm talking to you guys, and you guys already have the basics of how to work with your designs in Cricut Design Space. Okay, so what I'm showing you today is how to take your awesome elements, in this case a background and the gnomes, and we are going to also add some custom text. Now this text is going to be real simple, but these basic concepts will apply to most things that you work with, unless you are just a superb artist and you prefer to, draw your own gnomes or create your own backgrounds or anything like that. And I'm not saying that you can't, by all means. I would love to see what you guys do. I think there's, an inner artist in all of us. But I'm just saying, I don't want you to be disappointed when we get to the end and you're like, Becky, you slap some clip art together. Yes, that's exactly what I'm going to do, because that is the quick and easy type of sublimation designing that I like. What I'm here to focus on, however, is just showing you, I get a ton of questions, how do you do sublimation in Cricut Design Space? Can I do sublimation in Cricut Design Space? How do I print larger images in Cricut Design Space? We're going to talk about all that, okay? Okay, there we go. We got some Merry Christmasing going on, right? Cute design, real simple. This also works really well when you're personalizing images. If you have an ornament design that you really like, you're going to add, the family last name, you're going to add the year, baby's first Christmas, whatever the case may be, okay? It's going to be a simple import your clip art, stack it, add some text, all right? Once you have achieved all that, you can select these. You want to make sure you go to Fill Type and change these to print, right? And I'm going to select all these and I'm going to choose flatten. Okay, there we go. So this is our finished image. All right, super exciting stuff. Can't get enough of it. I want to make this as large as I can. Now the dimensions that you're limited to are still the, 6.75 by 9.25. So I know that as far as the width, I need to be 6.75 inches wide. Now, I'm just doing this as a test. Let's click over to make it. Okay, there we go. So that is within our guidelines, right? And it's going to allow us to proceed. Now, let's also take a look at the rest of the space on here. This is important because if you want to work on more than one design at a time, you can technically fill up the whole page area. And now, don't let this fool you. We are not printing this size. All right, but we still have to be within these confines. But, if you're working on multiple designs that you're going to turn around and print, well, that would be useful too. You could go ahead and knock them out. All right, but let's go ahead and continue on. Now, this is the part that you have to pay attention to, okay? I'm going to send to printer. But instead of a printer, now, Microsoft, you can use print as PDF, but I want to show you what I'm going to do instead of a PDF is I'm going to use this Bullzip PDF printer, which is a little misleading. I do want to make sure that I turn off the bleed. I do not want a bleed on this design. I'm going to hit print. Okay, and this pops up. So the Bullzip PDF printer is a virtual printer, okay? What does that mean? That means that it is quote unquote printing through a print driver, but it's going to save it as a file, all right? So I want to name this, we're gonna say Merry Christmas Gnomes, all right? Simple, easy peasy, no big deal. But instead of a PDF format, I'm gonna change this to a PNG format, all right? I'm going to hit save. Now it's going to take a minute, but it should open up the design after it is done saving that file. All right, there we go. Now, this is just my basic photo editor. All right, this came standard on my computer. I'm just using a PC with Windows 10. If you do not have a standard photo editor, that's okay, because what we're going to do is crop this down and put it into a format that we can use. What I mean by format is this is not the finished product. All right, now what I can do is I can use this photo editor to go ahead and crop down my design, which is really useful because I can get rid of the black box around the outside. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and choose Save a Copy. I'm just going to save it as Merry Christmas Gnomes 2. Very original, right? All right, and then what I want to show you actually is you can print from anywhere. Any type of software that will let you bring in an image and control your sizing makes this ideal. Okay, so this means that you can use that image that you just saved. You can use it in, if you have Sawgrass, you can use Creative Studio. Okay, if you don't have any software, you can bring it into Microsoft Word, which is what I'm going to do here. If you prefer to print from Microsoft Publisher, or you want to use this design in Canva or whatever, that design within the commercial licensing, right? All right, because those designs came from design bundles. I purchased those. So as long as I'm staying within that licensing, I can now use that design in any software that will let me. So this in particular, because this is what a lot of Cricut users get caught up on, you guys feel restricted with having to stay within that print and cut border, am I right? So I've opened this up. I have sized this paper. Let me show you how. Go to File and Print, and scroll down here to Page Setup. Now, there's probably an easier way to do that. I'm old-fashioned. This is just kind of where I always go. And I can set this up to be whatever size I need it to be. All right, so say custom size. My Epson printer will print up to a 13 by 19 page. Now it's telling me it may be outside of the printable area. That's because looking over here, I actually have my Bullzip. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and change that. Epson, now go to print page setup. There we go. There's my Super B 13 by 19. I'm going to hit OK, and I can come back. Okay, that is my 13 by 19 page. I can go to Insert, Picture, this device. Let's see, I believe that's saved in my pictures. And now I can size this whatever size I need it. You know what else I can do? I can flip it. I can do whatever needs to be done in order for this to work with my sublimation. Now you may be asking me, Becky, couldn't you just import these images into Microsoft Word to begin with and layer them like this? Of course you can. Of course you can. Microsoft Word, however, is not a designing software. That's not what it's intended for. So unless you're really familiar with Microsoft Office, that may be a little difficult for some people. So that's what I'm saying. If you're already experienced with Cricut Design Space, this will be a piece of cake for you. And now I have shown you the steps that you can take to be able to print those bigger images, those larger images. Okay, so let's talk about flipping this design. Let's see. Flip horizontal. Boom. Done. Piece of cake. Say I'm going to put this on a t-shirt and I want it to be 11 inches wide. Boom. Done. Piece of cake, right? I mean, like, this is really, really easy. I just can't tell you how easy this is. So now I'm going to show you one more example. I'm going to delete that and I'm going to go to Insert, Pictures, this device, and I actually want to find that original. There it is. This is the original one that we printed, right? And see how it actually looks like it's sized for a letter size paper? Well, that's because that was, you know, what Cricut thought we were printing. But even if you don't have the opportunity to crop it down in some sort of designing photo editing software, I can just crop it in Microsoft Word. Okay, super, super easy. Boom, done deal. Crop. There's my 11 inches. There's my flip horizontally. Done deal. All right, so hopefully that made sense for you guys. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of a recap. We simply designed everything. We set up the elements in Cricut Design Space. We sized it to be that 6.75 inches wide, so it stayed within our print and cut. We printed it through the Bullzip printer. That way we could save it as a PNG. And then all we had to do was crop out the black lines from the print and cut. and import it into some sort of software that will allow you to print larger images. So when you think of it that way, that's actually really darn easy. So I'm pretty excited about that. I think this was a really good find. And, of course, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up.
So, wasn't it easy? I think it's easy. Of course, I think it's super easy, okay? Now, if you are not a pro with using Bullzip, if you haven't used something like that before, that may throw you off a little bit, but I promise it is not super hard. And once you get the routine, all you're gonna do is choose that as your printer. From the drop down, choose PNG, and then crop out those black lines, the black rectangle, and you literally have everything you need in a sublimation design right there for you. So, if you have any questions, let me know. Like I said, I feel like it was straightforward, but don't feel like you can't ask me questions. A lot of people say, oh, this is probably a dumb question. There are no dumb questions on this channel. I promise that every question gets given the same consideration, okay? Absolutely, because I love to hear from you guys. So, and don't forget, I know I keep telling you guys, but don't forget, subscribe to the channel. Help us, and that helps you, and we all help each other to keep bringing these awesome tutorials and just more crafty inspiration, right? All right. Thanks for joining me today, guys. I really, really appreciate it. And like I said, if you have any questions, leave them below. And if not, thanks again. I will see you next time.